Watermelon sugar.
Imagine never seeing your son again. On September 5th of 1982, in West Des Moines, Iowa, 12-year-old Johnny Gosch, who was a paper boy, left his home that early Sunday morning to begin his paper route. Now, typically, his father, John Gosch, would accompany him when he came to doing the paper route. But on this particular morning, he did not. So Johnny went on his own. Johnny's parents became aware that he was missing when a lot of the people around the neighborhood started calling them, upset that they still hadn't gotten their paper. Knowing their son, Johnny's father, John, and his mother, Noreen, knew this was extremely unlike him and set out to look for him. Unfortunately, just 2 blocks away from their home, Johnny's father would find little Johnny's wagon full of newspaper, but no Johnny in sight. When Johnny's parents went to the authorities, they were told that there's no reason to send a search party out because he was probably just another runaway. This was the start of a very frustrating back and forth between Johnny's parents and the police. Now, there was a neighbor named Mike who stated that he saw Johnny speaking to a man who was stocky that was driving a 2-tone blue Fairmont with Nebraska plates. He also stated that he has no idea what they were talking about because he was watching all this from his bedroom window. Another witness named John Rossi also saw a man in a blue car speaking to Johnny. He said that something felt strange to him about the conversation, so he looked at the man's license plate but could not recall the plate number. A few months after his disappearance, Noreen, who was Johnny's mother, stated that he was spotted in Oklahoma when a boy at a supermarket yelled that he was Johnny Gosch, but then was dragged off by 2 men. Nothing came out of this lead. Noreen, in the morning of 1997, claimed that around the age of when Johnny would have been 27 years old, him and another man who seemed to be the guy who took him came to her doorstep, showed her his scar, which would have proved that it was him, and stated that he was all right and that not to report this to anybody because it would be worse for him. They came inside, I believe they ate, they left, and Noreen didn't tell anybody until years later. Nobody knows if this is true or not, but she says it is. In 2006, Noreen would receive some pretty disturbing photos, which details I'm not going to go into, but if you want to see them, you can Google them. She stated that she was convinced that this was her son, but the scars and other things didn't match up to what would be his. So nothing came out of that either. All in all, this is still a cold case. He would be around 52 years old right now. Actually, he'd be turning 52 in about 6 days. He was born on November 12th. And there's speculation that he was put into an S ring, if you know what I mean, SX ring. But it can't be proven. So let me know your thoughts down below because this is wild and sad at the same time.
Axe murders are always horrific, but none of those stories hold a candle to what happened in this house. This is the story of the Valiska Axe Murders. On June 10th, 1912, Joe and Sarah Moore, along with their 4 children and 2 friends, the Stillingen sisters, would be brutally murdered. Sometime around midnight, someone broke into the house, and with an oil lamp in one hand and axe in the other, they killed everyone. Joe Moore's brother was the one who found the bodies, and they were bludgeoned so badly that their faces were a bloody pulp and they were unrecognizable. It made his brother violently ill. It gets weirder. It seems as if the killer went back through the house and performed some sort of odd ritual. He covered all of the mirrors and windows or any reflective glass with cloths or towels. They then went and covered the parents' faces with sheets and the children's faces with clothing. And then the killer did the weirdest thing yet. He took a 2-pound piece of uncooked bacon from the fridge, put it in the living room along with a keychain. On top of that, a bowl of water was found with blood swirling through it. Police think that the killer washed his hands in it, but they're not really sure. But it only gets weirder.
Now, you guys, Amelia Bassoon and Joshua Ramzwamy, they were a couple out of Orlando, Florida. Amelia was 25 and Joshua was 28, and Amelia was a bank teller. So as a bank teller, Amelia had a loyal customer that was elderly and he had dementia. So this loyal customer, his name has not been released, but whenever Amelia would move to a different location or a different bank, he would move his accounts to this different location or bank as well too. In 2018, Amelia started working at Chase Bank, in which this loyal customer moved his account to Chase Bank. And he trusted Amelia with his accounts because for years he had been, working with Amelia. But what he didn't know, y'all, was Amelia was not a nice person and she was planning on taking his money. Like I said before, this customer, he had dementia and he had other brain issues and he was really old, y'all. So they planned on taking advantage of him, Amelia and her husband. Now, in March of 2018, Amelia and her husband, they got together and they concocted this plan in order to take $50,000 from this customer. Now, they wrote 2 checks in the amount of $25,000 each, and they wrote them out to their son's name. And they actually thought that they would get away with this, you guys. But this elderly customer had a daughter that would look over his accounts by the name of Cynthia Stack, this woman right here. When Cynthia started seeing these large sums of money getting taken out of her father's account, that's when she started calling this bank to try to see what was happening. And she would ask to speak to Amelia personally because she knew her father built a personal relationship with Amelia over the years.
Was it last week Monday or the week before? She had called me about her dad's account.
What did she say?
They had went into the branch for like a transaction history. And they were just calling me to confirm about the funds, about like what's going on. And
Cindy called you? She called you at work?
Well, yes, at work. She was at that branch at Americana, and they called me from there. So I'll let her know when I get home. I'll talk to her. But the thing is, like,
Hold on, let me make sure I understand. So she called you. So the branch that she was at called you at your branch?
At my branch and at my cell phone.
Well, they called both.
I believe so. Yes. I think it was my desk phone. They called me at my desk. And I spoke to her over the phone. And she was just going through her dad's transaction history.
So what's so weird is Amelia then gives Cynthia a personal number and is like, look, I will talk to you when I get home. You can call my personal cell phone. Why would you give a customer your personal cell phone to call you about a $50,000 bank transaction? That seems like something you should talk about on the clock and with the manager. So Cynthia and her son, Sean, right here, they are very suspicious. They know something is going on.
Technically, you're not supposed to be talking on the cell phone with a client or
Well, yeah.
customer anyway, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing,
So
so-
you're not worried about that. You were just worried about giving her information about Joe.
Exactly.
So what did she ask you about?
She was just asking me about the transaction history on the account, but I'm trying to let her know that I can't. She was asking about that.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Were they at the branch for that?
Sean was, yes.
Sean was. Okay. So what else? What else did you guys talk about on the phone?
That was really it. She just kept calling me about the whole transaction
She
history.
kept calling you? How many times did she call you?
She called me... When did she call me? She called me that day. She called me the day after. And then I think she skipped a day and called me one day after that as well.
So Amelia and Joshua, they know now that Cynthia and her son, Sean, they're catching on to what they did to her father. Cynthia is calling back to back. She's literally like, look, y'all need to come up with these $50,000 or come up with what happened to my father's money or we're going to the police. So instead of Amelia and Joshua just saying, look, let me go turn myself in and just get this over with because I stole this elderly man's money, they come up with this elaborate plan to try to kill Cynthia and her son. Joshua goes out, he buys a gun, and he goes over to Cynthia and Sean's apartment. Now, a neighbor reports to hearing about 5 gunshots, you guys, and that was about it. Now, the very next day, a neighbor went over and saw the door was wide open, and that's when the discovery was made. Cynthia and Sean was shot to death.
5-year-old Amelia Bassoon and 28-year-old Joshua Ramzwamy remain in the Orange County Jail tonight. Behind their first-degree murder charges, a list of others that include scheme to defraud and identity theft from March. Those charges could stem from theft at J.P. Morgan that Bassoon is accused of being part of. A representative with the local branch confirmed to News 6 she works for the company, and they say she stole $50,000 from an elderly customer. That customer, the representative told us, is the father and grandfather of the 2 victims. They sent us this statement saying, quote, "We are so sorry about this terrible tragedy, and our hearts go out to the family of these victims. We are continuing to work with authorities on the investigation and have restored the missing money to the customer's account." Orlando police wouldn't confirm this on their end, citing the open investigation. During Saturday's first appearance, Ramzwamy remained silent.
You're here today for first-degree murder, 2 counts, principal in the first degree.
Bassoon seemed to be in disbelief.
Once Amelia and Joshua were interrogated, they ended up being arrested because their stories did not add up. Now, Amelia claims that she had no idea that Joshua was going to do this. She's claiming that Joshua disappeared for a couple of days, and all she knew was she saw bank transactions for gas, like he went out of town, and she didn't know where he went. She said he had texted her saying that I'm going to take care of this. You have nothing to worry about. But she had no idea that he was going to kill Cynthia and Sean. But Joshua tells a totally different story.
I'll tell you right now, straight up, I was there. My gun was taken from me by some black guy that said he knows Jay. Amelia gave him $10,000. I thought, for me, the money was gonna go get paid as far as, okay, this is gonna get paid. Maybe they're buying drugs or something.
So the money, presumably this $10,000, would have come out of the TD account.
No, that was cash she had at home.
How did she have $10,000 cash?
From what I brought home.
Okay. So the thing is, what I'm trying to wrap my head around is, one of you is a really awful person. Someone is letting their spouse go to prison for the rest of their life.
So Joshua is saying that Amelia paid somebody $10,000 in order to take care of the situation and make it go away. But that's not what Amelia is saying. But y'all, in a strange twist of events, as of right now in 2021, Joshua is currently serving a life sentence while Amelia is just out. Now, she did do 3 years, but she got time served, I'm guessing, for the fraud when the $50,000 was took. But they could not prove that she had anything to do with the actual killings of Cynthia and Sean. The gun used was traced back to Joshua, and it was proven that he's the one that did commit the murders. Now, you guys, I don't know about this one. In my heart now, I do think that she knew about the murders. For some reason, I feel like she manipulated him into doing this in order for her to not get in trouble or not go to jail. Now, I'm going to say allegedly or whatever for legal reasons. But it's something about this woman. I don't know, the whole time I did this story, I just did not get a good vibe from her. Now, comment down below and let me know what you guys think. Do y'all think Josh got tricked into doing this? Now, I don't think Josh is innocent. I think Josh very well did do what he did, and he's where he needs to be. But I don't think she should have got off like that with just 3 years time served. I don't think that. Comment below, y'all.
This is 55-year-old Joslin Ortega, and she brutally murdered 2 out of the 3 children that she was nannying for. But let's back up a little bit first. This is Marina and Kevin Krim from New York. They had 3 children together, 6-year-old Lucia, who they often called Lulu, almost 2-year-old Leo, and 3-year-old Nessie. Marina was a stay-at-home mother, and Kevin often had to travel long distances for work, so they both decided to get a nanny to help Marina out. Joslin's sister reached out to the Krim family and recommended her to them. And Joslin also was nannying for another family that lived in their neighborhood. Joslin Ortega was from the Dominican Republic. She was working about 25 hours a week with the Krim family. She seemed to be very well paid. And the family also even paid for a trip to the Dominican Republic with her and paid for the whole 9 days. And the 3 children had a very good relationship with her and really loved her. And this great relationship went on for about 2 years. October 25th of 2012, Marina took her 3-year-old daughter Nessie to a swim lesson. 6-year-old Lucia had a ballet class later on that day, and the nanny, Joslin, was told to drop her off at her class, and that the mother, Marina, would pick her up on her way home from the swim lesson with Nessie. Marina is in shock when she goes to pick up Lucia from her ballet class with Nessie, and she finds out that Lucia never showed up for her class. So Marina panics and tries to call Joslin, but she gets absolutely no answer. Once Marina gets home, she is struck by a really eerie silence in the home, and it was also very dark except for a light showing from the bathroom. Once she gets into the bathroom, she sees that Lucia and Leo are in the bathroom with the nanny, and they had all been stabbed. The two children were laying in the bathtub side by side, and they were both stabbed with such force that they were nearly decapitated. Lucia had defensive wounds from trying to escape her attacker, and she was stabbed over 30 times, while Leo was stabbed over 5 times. Meanwhile, the nanny, Joslin, is still alive. She has a slash on her neck and stab wounds here and there. And police immediately make Joslin the primary suspect. And I am running out of time, so come back for a part 2. This is part 2 of Joslin Ortega, the nanny. We left off with the police making Joslin the primary suspect in the murder of Lucia and Leo. Now, fast forwarding to the trial of Joslin Ortega, the prosecution does state that they believe that Joslin was jealous of the mother Marina, as well as being resentful towards Marina and Kevin for her financial struggles. Joslin stated that she could no longer pay for her rent or pay for her son to go to private school. She also expressed that she was angry with the parents for constantly changing her schedule and also asking her to clean when she said that was not part of her job. Joslin's attorney also did try to fight with the jury and explain to them that she was mentally ill and was having hallucinations and hearing voices at the time of the murders. Ultimately, the judge finds Joslin guilty of murdering Leo and Lucia, and she is convicted of 2 counts each of first-degree and second-degree murder. She gets 2 consecutive sentences of 25 years to life. Later down the line, Marina and Kevin have 2 more children, and they begin the Leo and Lulu Fund, which is used to foster creativity among children. The Lulu and Leo law was also introduced in New York State, which made falsifying applications or references in childcare an official crime.